Ken, thank you so much for coming on this morning. I really, really appreciate it. You are in Arizona right now, correct, for spring training?
I am. I'm in my hotel room in Tempe, Arizona.
Awesome.
And we've got just over a week to go down here, and then it's on to Toronto to begin the season.
Is that amazing? I mean, it just passes us by so fast. What's your thoughts on the game of baseball today compared to where it was 20, 30 years ago when you first started? Now everything right now is, hey, throw as hard as you can, swing as hard as you can. Everything is based on exit velo, and pitchers are judged on, can they get to 3 digits rather than can they get batters out? What's your thoughts on what the game has turned into?
I think all the points you made, Booney, are valid. I will say this. I don't think that all the advances have necessarily been bad for the game. Like, I'm a big fan of the pitch count. I'm not the pitch count, the pitch clock.
Sure.
Right. I think that the pace of the game has improved because of that. I'm a little bit neutral right now on the ABS. I want to see how that plays out during the regular season, the challenge system. I think maybe it might be that they'll go perhaps next year from 2 challenges to 3. But the points you made are valid in terms of the emphasis on velocity, and that would trickle down to me. One of the concerns I've had about that would trickle down to players when they're just kids and going to travel ball and some of the youth leagues that the emphasis on, can you throw 90 miles an hour when you're 15 years of age?
Crazy.
And I'm not sure that all the data is fully in, but that can't be good for the development of a player in looking at their long-term viability as from a health standpoint. So I've always been a proponent of, youngsters playing a lot of sports. Play all 3, play 4, and don't just focus so much on baseball.
Are evaluators getting it wrong, or do they get it right? And what I mean by this is, for example, when I grew up, I loved players like Wade Boggs and Tony Gwynn and Don Mattingly and so forth. I don't know if they would be looked at in the same light today, or even be a key contributor to a team in today's game just based on how they played. Are they getting it right as far as evaluating players?
I think they are still, because if you're performing in the minor leagues coming up, and I know if you look at the A's organization, we saw Jacob Lopez pitch yesterday.
Jeez,
now, it was the spring. He doesn't blow away the radar gun.
No, he doesn't.
Hitting 91 miles an hour.
Right.
He walked the first batter he faced, and then he retired the next 12. Yeah. So what you're talking about, I think, would apply to the first-round picks. It's very rare to see a first-round pitcher who doesn't light up the radar gun, or a position player who is toolsy, has an abundance of tools. But I still think there is a place, and if you perform coming up in the minor leagues, I think you're going to get a chance, at least with this A's ball club.
Do you miss the old style of play at all? Hit and run and small ball?
Yeah, I think that's coming back in the game a little bit more.
A little bit, no.
I really do. I think so. I think the Brewers last year were a good example of a team that they were kind of the embodiment of battling at the plate, working the count, not striking out a lot, putting the ball in play. So I think there's still a huge place for that in the game.
Would you like to see pitchers go deeper into the games like they did in the 70s and 80s, or is that something that's just not viable anymore?
Yeah, and I think it starts in the minor leagues. If pitchers aren't used to going more than 5 or 6 innings in the minor leagues, it's pretty hard to expect them to do that in the big leagues. I think it can be a recipe for disaster for a team that to have a group of starters only go 5 or 6, and then you're so overly reliant on your bullpen. So unless you've got a hugely deep bullpen and a deep bullpen in AAA, because guys have to shuffle back and forth. So, yeah, I'm old school that way. I grew up with Koufax and Gibson and Marshall and those guys, and Warren Spahn, who I got to know a little bit when I was younger.
Is that right?
Yeah, going 9, I think, is still yeah, I'd like to see more complete games for sure. And you used to love when you would see and anticipate certain pitching matchups that were coming up.
Yeah.
And you'd want to buy a
Schilling,
ticket
Sabathia, stuff like that. With
to
yeah,
see
absolutely.
Drysdale against Marshall. You'd buy a ticket to see that, right?
Who's your favorite player? For example, my favorite player of all time is Ricky Henderson. Outside the A's, it would be Don Mattingly, just because of how they made me feel. I still watch the old school A's games, and even when Ricky Henderson draws a walk, I still get butterflies in my stomach just thinking the way he let off base and just the anticipation of him taking off. Do you have a favorite player
of all time, or
yes, well, that you saw?
I loved Ricky, and to get to know him was a thrill a minute with Ricky, and we miss him every day. And I've been so privileged with the A's to broadcast their games for, well, now 31 seasons, and to have so many great players. I think from my time with the A's, there were two players to me that stand out from the early days of my career, the 2000s, would be Tejada and Giambi. Okay. Now, when I was a kid, my favorite player, and I grew up close to Dodgers, or closer to Dodger Stadium than Anaheim, but I was more of an Angels fan than a Dodger fan.
Okay.
And so my favorite player was Jim Fregosi.
Is that right? Went to high school. That's where I went.
Yeah, right.
Same deal. Yeah.
And then when he was managing the Blue Jays, I got a chance to didn't he manage the Blue Jays, or he did manage the Phillies, right?
And I think too, I believe, right?
And and I got to interview him on a pregame show, and that's one of those full circle things where you come face to face with your youth.
Sure.
So that was a lot of fun.
Wow, Jim Fregosi, interesting.
Yeah.
Now, your father saw Babe Ruth play, Josh Gibson. How did first-hand accounts of watching those players shape the way you broadcast games, or did it? And can you kind of describe some of those conversations you had with him and talking about the Babe and legendary players we only read about?
I think I wrote in the Bill King book that I was going to games before I could walk. Okay. Right. So, well, my dad was a baseball and basketball coach.
Okay.
And, he lived to be 105. He passed away in November of 24.
Yes.
So what an amazing life that he lived. In fact, parenthetically, I'll tell you this brief story, because he really struggled in the last couple of years.
Okay.
And it's a natural thing. You're 100, 103, 104, 105, that he started to slip a little bit cognitively, but he still watched a lot of the Dodger games because he lived in LA, and there were times when conversations were a little difficult with him. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he would say, that Freddie Freeman is a heck of a hitter. Baseball really kept him connected.
Sure.
So he coached baseball and basketball.
Where did he coach at?
He coached at Verdugo Hills High School in LA, in the Northern League out in the Valley. Okay. Sunland, Sahunga. And then he coached a junior college in the inner city in LA, basketball. And then he coached.
Which JC was that?
Well, it's no longer in existence. A school that was called Metropolitan College. Okay. And it merged with Trade Tech.
Interesting.
And then he coached the baseball team at LA Valley Junior College.
Oh, wow.
Still a pretty prominent baseball program.
Sure.
So, and he in those days, my dad was born in 1919. So, as you know, Booney, there was no Major League Baseball on the West Coast until 1958.
Right.
So if you wanted to see the great players in the off seasons, they would barnstorm out west.
Is that
Even
right?
Some of the great Negro League players would come to LA to play, like Josh Gibson, who blew my dad away. And he would tell me stories about the way he would throw like 100 miles an hour on a stolen base attempt, basically from his knees down to second base.
Wow.
Or he didn't see Ruth play in a game, but he did see Ruth in a home run contest in LA.
Is that right?
And he wound up after that actually getting a Babe Ruth signed baseball.
No kidding.
So the tradition of the game was, and the history of the game was something that was a huge part of my experience as a kid, for sure.
I could imagine. Jesus. I mean, some of those stories just must have been absolutely legendary. with what
Yeah, he was a contemporary of Jackie Robinson's, and he saw Robinson play an awful lot. My dad was a really good player, too.
He was.
He got a full scholarship to college for baseball and basketball. That was interrupted by World War II because he served in England on an air base during the war. Yeah.
Speaking of modern day baseball today, fan engagement has shifted from transistor radios to phones and apps. Do you think the way fans connect to the game is different now or similar, just with different tools?
Maybe I'm being Pollyannish or too idealistic, but I think radio is still a viable way to follow a baseball season and a team. But there are just different ways to access what we do.
Yes.
So, and I think it's a good thing. I mean, we've heard from people in China or the Netherlands or wherever, because every game is national now because of the apps and the opportunity through streaming and various means like that. So I'm thrilled with it. And I still think that the radio broadcasts are a heartbeat of a team.
Now, Ken, I've been meaning to ask you, and you touched on it a little bit earlier. With all the changes of the game, pace of play, the rules, the expanded playoffs, all the relocation talk, do you still recognize the same spirit of baseball that originally drew you into the game?
Absolutely, for sure.
You do?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In fact, I was thinking about this because I drove back down here on Thursday, and my drive from our home in Henderson, Nevada, it takes me through Kingman. Now you're on Interstate 40, and then you head south on the 93, and the desert kind of comes alive. And it sounds like a cliche, but I've always equated, people talk about the baseball season blooming like the saguaro, like the cactus.
Right.
And I've always, when the time comes when I'm not thrilled driving through the desert thinking about going down to Arizona for spring training, then you'll find me on the first tee somewhere every day, because that'll be it.
How is the game?
90 feet to first base. It's still 60 feet 6 inches.
Yeah, right.
The grass is still green at the Ace Complex down here in Mesa.
Absolutely.
So at its core, it is still baseball.
Sure.
And at the core of what we do, it is still broadcasting baseball. And I don't think I do a whole lot differently from what I did when I first started in the minor leagues 45 years ago.
So do you think of the game today, when you think about the game, the future, are you more optimistic about it or nostalgic about it?
I'm really not nostalgic about it. I am optimistic about it. I think we have great young players in the game. I think the game is in a really, really good place.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that energy take place. As
far as like the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, I was just talking
about the WBC. I think there was a lot of cynicism about the WBC. And
yes, there was.
This incredible energy and interest in the game.
Unbelievable.
And the pure love of the competition and of the game, and seeing these great players. As we're recording this tonight, Team USA is playing the Dominican.
That's going to be something else, isn't it?
It's like a battle of two titans. If you look at the sheer volume of talent on the field, right?
The two games yesterday were amazing as well.
Yeah.
Japan and Venezuela. How Acuna led off the game with the home run. Ohtani comes back on the bottom of the one and matches him with a first inning, and Italy beating Puerto. Just amazing, the energy and the passion, and it's just unreal what is going on.
I would like to see more African Americans in the game, especially from the U.S.
Yes.
in our country, right? So that's something that I would love to see. I spent a lot of time last night with Shooty Babbitt.
Okay,
that's something that's really important to Shooty, and so we've formed this great friendship over all these years. So that's something I think that would be really important for the game.
Your industry, I tell you, is such a difficult industry in the sense of, and you just talked to what brought that idea up as you talking about Shooty Babbitt, somebody that has paid his dues in the minor leagues and come and done so much and is so darn talented now just to be broadcasting games now. How difficult is your industry to break through? Is it a lot of luck? Is it a lot of talent? Is it a little bit of everything?
Yes. You're right. It is.
Yeah.
I think that there are two ways to look at that. There aren't too many major league jobs,
No.
especially for play-by-play.
Mm-mm.
But the other thing is there are more avenues, I think, for young people coming up. And I do a lot of counseling and advising with young broadcasters. And when I was a kid, you certainly did not have the cable opportunities, streaming, doing things like what you're doing, Booney.
Yeah.
I think the doors are more open than they were when I was younger, because there are so many more outlets and opportunities because of that to get involved. And I've always said this, and it doesn't always work out this way, that because judging broadcasters is extremely subjective, as you know,
Yes.
as much as anyone, right?
Yeah, right.
If you work hard and you're a professional and you conduct yourself and hold yourself to those kinds of standards, good things are going to happen. Now, it doesn't always work out that way, because there are people working in the minor leagues who are certainly very capable of working in the big leagues. So there's no prescription or formula to determine how someone has success, or how you even would determine success in this business. So there's no formula or prescription, I've told people. But I still feel that if you kind of adhere to those tenets, that you still have a shot, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. You know, you do what you do, and on the broadcasting, it's more guardrailed, right? You have to watch exactly what you can say and what you're criticizing, or you have to say it in a certain particular tone. But again, there's other avenues that doesn't necessarily have that same access, but are less guardrailed, and you can kind of say what you want. So I wonder.
I'll interject this. In the 30 years I've broadcast for the A's, they have been incredible to work for, from the standpoint that they've let me be myself. So if anyone wants to judge what I do, it's on me, because I'm not looking over my shoulder with someone bearing down on me, telling me, why'd you say this, or how come you said that, or I want you to say this. So I'm accountable for what goes on the air. So anyone that would, and people pass judgment all the time.
Sure.
But I'm not under that kind of scrutiny or pressure. I feel the freedom to do the game the way that I feel the game should be done, for better or for worse, right?
Understood. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I did a show about 2 months ago on Locked On A's, and it was talking about the Hall of Famers that I felt should go in to the A's class this year. And I had Holtzman, Ellis, yourself, and during the show I left one person out that I want to include now, which is Dwayne Murphy. Is the Hall of Fame something important to you that you think about, or if it happens, it happens?
The A's Hall of Fame?
Yes.
I haven't thought about it a lot, Booney. I think some of these things happen when you get older.
Yeah, right.
But I'd be honored if it did happen, because of the legacy and the great rich tradition.
Right.
But I've always tried to leave those things to other people.
Okay.
I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. One of the things that was really important to me, and I know resonated deeply with A's fans, was when Bill King received the Ford C. Frick Award.
Yeah.
And as they say, the broadcaster's wing of the Hall of Fame. I was honored to be a finalist for that a couple of years ago. So I was kind of blown away when the phone call came and you see Cooperstown, New York on your caller ID on your phone. It's like, holy, it's like, even though I know I didn't get the Frick, which is fine. I don't think I ever will. But
yeah, if
you have this reverence for the game and its history and traditions, and you see that name come up. So no, I don't think about it hardly at all.
I know fans.
I will say this, that I think Kenny Holtzman, not just in terms of talking about the A's Hall of Fame, that he's one of the most overlooked pitchers maybe in the history of the game.
100% agree.
Because if you look at what he did in the postseason, especially, the A's don't win 3 straight world championships without him. Kenny Holtzman.
No question.
And the other person that I would put on that list, because I was thinking about this today, and Murph is a great call. Bob Melvin should be in the A's Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
The winningest manager in Oakland history.
Oh man, it's amazing what those teams did. Just just one postseason division. I mean, heartbreak after heartbreak in the division. But I tell you this, it was summer of fun after summer of fun in those years with Bob Melvin.
If you look at the 20 years, starting in 2000, strike three call, A's win the West, Bill's call, last game of the season, or It was actually the 161st game because we only played 161 games. From 2000 to 2020, the A's were in the postseason 11 different times.
11 times. 6th most in all of baseball.
What a privilege for me to have the opportunity. And ultimately, it was really disappointing and heartbreaking. But I also look back on it from this standpoint and think how many people get a chance to broadcast playoff games at Yankee Stadium or Fenway Park or feel the electricity at the Coliseum in 2012, the last game of the season against the Rangers. So I consider it a real privilege to have been part of that.
Here's another one for you, Ken. 2000 to 2006, second most wins in all of MLB, just to the Yankees.
And the line runs from 2006 to the current team because of Mark Kotsay.
Yeah.
And how brilliant he played in center field, the famous inside the park home run at the Metrodome, Vince Cotronio's call of that. So, yeah.
Speaking of Mark Kotsay, do a lot of the guys realize that their manager is, if not undisputed or in the short list of the greatest college baseball player ever to live? I mean, a lot of people
probably not. I'm not sure, but
I mean,
they respect the fact that he had a very good major league career.
Sure,
and I think it does give him a certain cachet that's important.
Absolutely.
No,
but
he was at
a different level at Fullerton. I mean, he was a 9th overall pick. He had a great MLB career, but to be thought of as the greatest college baseball player of all time, which is not, most people have him on the short list for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah. The other thing about Kotsay that was great, and I think is a really good example for players, for outfielders, he wasn't blessed with wicked speed.
No.
He wasn't a blazer, but he was a phenomenal center fielder.
Yeah.
He was just incredibly instinctive. You never saw Kotsay take a bad route at a ball.
No, and he played hard. He played hard every single day.
He and Jason Kendall that 06 season, that was the first time they had ever reached the postseason. And they had fairly long careers before then.
Yeah.
Frank Thomas carried that team at 39 home runs. And,
is that amazing?
And if they hadn't been so banged up on their infield, maybe the ALCS against the Tigers might have been a little bit different.
Speaking of the Tigers, you've called perfect games, historic streaks. Game 2, 2013 ALDS. You have described that, and correct me if I'm wrong, as the best pure game you have ever broadcasted. What specifically made that so special? Stephen Vogt's walk-off. What was so perfect structurally about that game?
Because it was perfect. The pitchers were phenomenal.
Yeah.
If you go back to Vogt and what he did behind the plate, I think it was the 5th inning to end the inning with a strike him out, throw him out double play on a laser down to second base to end the inning. His base hit to left center that won the game. So it was just riveting in terms of being one of those games where the outcome was almost riding on every pitch, even going to the first inning. So it just had incredible drama. A great sporting event is like a great novel that kind of builds to the denouement. And that's the way that game progressed to a point where Stephen won it with his walk-off. So couldn't have happened to a better guy.
No question, huh?
It happened with Vogt. I mean, man, what a gem of a person.
How has clubhouse culture changed over the years from your vantage point behind the mic? Has it changed significantly with Brand being so much more?
You're talking to the wrong guy. Because when I first, those A's teams, it started in '99.
Yeah,
that'll never be duplicated, right? That was like the ultimate frat house. So I'm the wrong person to talk about the evolution, because those guys had a great time, right?
They sure did.
I think one of the things about the A's that may separate them a little bit is that the clubhouse culture has always been really good. And I think one of the reasons for that is the continuity in the franchise, starting with scouts, development people, managers, coaches in the minor leagues. There's been a great deal of consistency, I think, in the organization. And also it relates to drafting and signing players and drafting character people. So we haven't had too many bad apples with the club. It's always been the kind of a clubhouse, and other announcers or writers will say this, that it's an easy clubhouse to move your way around.
What is your thoughts on this year's team? How are they going to do? Is it all up to the bullpen, all up to pitching? It's a tough team to kind of gauge exactly where they're going.
Well, let me preface by saying this as we sit here in Arizona.
Okay.
And the plane flying to Toronto a week from tomorrow.
Wow. Okay.
Now they've had like 10 games in a row where they've hit 3 or 4 home runs every game, and
every other batter
scoring 12 runs and 18 hits and stuff. What the great Bill King always said about the spring, and I've always mentioned this, was the more I think I know in the spring, the less I actually know.
Is that right?
Right. For anybody that tries to prognosticate based on spring training, I think that you're going down the wrong path.
Then I need to shut my pipe.
I really think they're going to hit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team that's going to hit.
Yeah.
And these young players are becoming young veterans. And with the exception of guys like Kurtz, right, and Jacob Wilson, but they're going to hit. So like any team, I think there are question marks regarding the pitching. How they pitch, I think, is going to determine in large part the season. But they do have some really good young pitchers coming up, Booney.
Yes, they do. I mean, you got Jump and Arnold.
Jump has looked really, really good down here. And that's something I think you can quantify even in the spring, because you can see the movement on his pitches, the variety of pitches. His fastball's hit 98. Yeah. And Kotze talked the other day about the importance of fastball command for him. That was something that would have to take a step forward. And he pitched split squad the other day. He was in Maryvale.
He was amazing.
59 pitches and 42 strikes. So that was impressive. So
do you think Jump or Bolte, any of these guys on the 60-man, have a shot to make the opening day roster?
No, but I think they'll be in the big leagues this year.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't think that they will.
Yeah.
But Henry Bolte he's
been impressive. He's a local kid.
And again, you temper things down here, but you see the skills.
Yeah.
He is incredibly toolsy. And for a big guy, he can run. He's also on the all-interview team, too.
Is he really?
In my little world, right, that's what matters the most.
Yeah.
Palo Alto High, so it's cool that he's a Northern Californian.
Absolutely.
And he's got a chance to be really special. And I think we forget sometimes, Booney, about the development of certain players. Nick Kurtz, for instance, played in a great college program.
Wake Forest, yep.
But Henry was a high school draft. So it's just natural. It's going to take a little bit longer. But he's still a kid, right?
Yeah, 22 years old.
He has a chance to be really good. And there's been so much focus on Leo DeVries down here. And I will say this, that the hype is warranted.
Yeah.
He really has a chance to be special.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard, of course, the comparison to Francisco Lindor. We had somebody recently talk about him being another one with Ketel Marte as another comp.
Good comps, I think. Yeah.
I think so as well. You recently just signed a 2-year extension, correct?
That is correct.
So tell us a little bit about that. You're going to be, you have this year, next year, and then 2 more?
Next year, yeah. Signed for next year. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Is that something you're excited about? Or did you ever see yourself hanging it up, or are you just going to play it year by year?
That's a great question. Yeah, I think I have to feel I mean, physically, that's number one, and number two, I have to be able to do the job.
Yeah.
So, and I hope that I'll be the first one to know if I lose my fastball.
I
Right?
think your fastball has some velocity still on it right now, and I think you're locating it pretty well. So
at that time, it'll be time to walk away. So I don't think too much about the future, but I'm kind of trying to be an in the moment person, but I never thought I'd have one day in the big leagues, let alone, well, the 4 years I worked on the White Sox broadcast, this will be the 35th season.
Oh man,
I never thought I'd have one. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful that the A's have allowed me to tell their story for all these years. So I'm full of a lot of gratitude, my friend. I never wanted to cheat the game. Right?
I don't think you have one bit at all. I don't think you have one bit at all. You used to broadcast for in Vegas for the Redwood Pioneers. Did I read that correctly? Or
no, the Redwood Pioneers were in Rohnert Park.
They were in Rohnert Park. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Sonoma County. So that was my first job in professional baseball. I did 27 games in 1981 and a full season in the Cal League in 1984. They were an Angels affiliate back then. Rohnert Park Stadium.
Yeah.
And
Santa Rosa.
Maybe the best team I've ever broadcast for at any level. They were
right?
they were 53-17 in the second half.
Oh man.
They had several guys that got to the big leagues, including Mark McLemore, who's been a friend for all these years. I broadcast AAA ball in Vegas. They were called the Las Vegas Stars back then.
Okay.
Then they became the 51s, and now they're the Aviators, the affiliate. But I was hired in 1989 to do AAA ball in Vegas and did 3 full years, 89, 90, and 91. And then the next 4 years before I got hired by the A's, I split time between the White Sox and the AAA club there in Vegas.
Ken, final question. If you had to summarize your entire 40-year broadcasting career in one single sentence, basically your own personal walk-off, what would it be?
I've given it my best shot. I've given it my best shot. I've tried my best.
Absolutely.
I've tried my best to remember that I've been an A's employee all these years, but really you work for the fans. And without the support of fans for all these years, I never would have made it to this point.
That's amazing. Well, Ken, I don't think I could speak many times on behalf of the A's fans, but I think this time I'm pretty comfortable doing that. And I want to say thank you for being that steady, trusted voice that has carried us through generations of baseball, through the highs of perfect games and walk-offs and the lows of heartbreaks. We've seen it through the playoffs. Your words have painted the soul of our summers. You have made my summers of fun. So I want to say thank you for your integrity behind the mic, has reminded us what it means to love the game the right way. You haven't just described baseball for us. You've defined it for what it means to be an A's fan. I want to say thank you, man. It's been an absolute joy listening to you.
What you said.
Yeah,
you know,
it's been a joy.
I've always tried to do the best I can, man. And I've worked with some really, really good people too. So it's not just me behind the mic. There are a lot of other people as well. So
100%.
It means a lot, buddy. Thank you so much.
You are what baseball is supposed to be, and you are what defines the A's. So
yeah, I think you better love the game. If you don't, you're not going to last too long in this business, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Thanks, Booney.
Ken, thank you so much, my friend.
Okay, buddy.